Welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Let's take a look at the headlines for this Monday, March 4th. The Chinese Communist Party starts its annual political meetings. Will it bring much-needed change? China says it will take a tougher stance against territorial provocations. And she's only 10 years old, but that hasn't stopped Chinese authorities from targeting her because of her father's activism. More than 2,000 delegates and even more reporters are in Beijing as the People's Republic of China convenes its annual two sessions. The top-level political meetings will see new leaders sworn into largely symbolic roles, and even as delegates talk about issues that should shape the policies of the country, the public isn't holding out hope for real change.
The rounds of political meetings to finalize the Communist Party's power handover have started. On Sunday, 2,200 representatives converged in Beijing for the 12th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, or CPPCC. The Communist Party calls it the country's top political advisory body. In reality, its role is largely for show, something the Chinese public is acutely aware of.
I haven't been happy. There is hardly any follow-through with the things discussed at the meetings. If they can deliver on just 1 or 2 points, that'd be great, but this hasn't happened once.
Chinese leaders have tried to use the CPPCC meeting to reverse criticisms leveled against its corrupt officials. State-run Global Times says the meeting did away with flowers and paper documentation, apparently saving around $320,000, 2 million yuan. It comes after calls by new party chief Xi Jinping to cut down on pomp and waste. But for ordinary citizens, solutions to problems like toxic smog, soil pollution, and the growing wealth gap are more important.
We hear a lot of good slogans, but we're faced with the cold, hard truth of reality. We want social justice, better lives for the people, but we haven't seen material reform or progress in these areas.
The CPPCC only has one full meeting each year. The selection process for the 2,200 delegates is opaque. Amongst the members are celebrities like Jackie Chan and basketball player Yao Ming.
During a meeting with reporters ahead of the rubber stamp parliament, a Chinese spokeswoman has taken the opportunity to deliver the regime's tough stance towards its territorial disputes with Japan.
A Chinese spokeswoman has used a press event ahead of the 12th National People's Congress to take a swipe at a Japanese reporter and to assert the Communist Party's intentions over a chain of disputed islands. When a Japanese journalist asked a question about China's foreign policy at a press conference for the 12th National People's Congress, he was met with laughter.
You must have noticed that all the Chinese journalists here laughed when you raised the question. In China, there are completely different views. Many Chinese and journalists here actually hope that China can be tougher, especially in face of provocations.
Those provocations Fu referred to were Japan's purchases of the Senkaku Islands, or Diaoyu Islands as they're known in China. It sent tensions spiraling between China and Japan. Since then, both sides have scrambled jets and surveillance ships to the area to assert their sovereignty. The military aggression has sparked concerns amongst international observers that it could lead to an all-out war. According to a U.S. treaty post-World War II, the islands are under the administrative authority of Japan. But China has recently been pursuing a hard line, saying the islands, which are believed to sit on a large natural gas reserve, should be part of Chinese territory. What Chinese leaders plan to do with the country's economy is on everyone's minds at the two sessions. That's the meeting of the 12th National People's Congress and the 12th Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, or CPPCC National Committee. China's rapid economic growth has been fueled by loans, infrastructure investment, and exports. Now more permanent models for growth are being pursued.
It is a widely recognized fact that the old model is not working. And in addition to that, China is in the camp of middle-income country, and so the cost structure is completely different. Therefore, China must increasingly rely on domestic-led growth, mainly private consumption. At the same time, accept slower but better quality growth.
Chinese leaders may want to boost domestic consumption, but there are barriers to that, like persuading the public to part with their money when prices around them are going up.
Research I've done shows that the income uncertainties are relatively high in China. So that's why Chinese people tend to save up for a rainy day rather than spend it. And I also believe the middle income group is the main driving force behind China's domestic spending. So lower taxes are key. High housing and car taxes only serve to put pressure on consumers.
Since the end of the 1980s, the Chinese regime has relied on economic development to justify its continued hold on power. But as the new leaders take the reins following the two sessions, they will have to contend with the country's shaky status as the world's factory, as well as a housing bubble and lingering debt problems.
Rights campaigner Zhang Lin has faced persecution for his continued activism in China, but authorities took it a step further when they also targeted his 10-year-old daughter. What they did violated Chinese law, and now Zhang's family is seeking justice.
She's only 10 years old. On February 27th, daughter of democracy activist Zhang Lin was detained for 20 hours by police from Hupo village, Anhui province. Zhang Ani was taken from her school in Hefei and kept in solitary confinement for 20 hours. Her father was detained along with her, but was not allowed to be with her during detention. Zhang Lin said that police from Hupo village ransacked his house earlier that morning. They took his keys, computer, cell phone, and stole $626, 3,900 yuan. They then took him to the Hupo police station where his daughter was later detained as well. Now, father and daughter are reunited, but the trauma is not over. Zhang Lin says she has little appetite and has been moody ever since.
Right now, the child isn't willing to leave the house and isn't willing to see anyone. She had a big fright and she is now quite irritable.
Zhang Lin says he is looking to hire a lawyer to address the ill treatment of his daughter.
No matter what country it is in the world, their laws all forbid this kind of action against someone who has not come of age, someone who is counted as a child. Even if she had broken the law, only under the supervision of a guardian could the police take her into custody. Yet the Hefei Police Department didn't pay attention to that and directly arrested her.
Shandong-based rights lawyer Li Xiangyang says the girl's detention broke China's laws by detaining her without a guardian.
It's because of the political issues with her father that the daughter of Zhang Lin was put in jail. This is inhuman behavior. This behavior that so obviously breaks the law and regulations is the behavior of the Chinese government.
Zhang Lin was sentenced to 2 years in prison for taking part in the 1989 student democracy protests. He has been sent to prison 3 more times since his continued activism. Altogether, he has spent 13 years behind bars.
And coming up after the break, hacking on U.S. gas companies linked to China. A moderate earthquake rocks southwestern China. And Shenyun Performing Arts continues to wow audiences, this time in Vienna, Austria. And welcome back. We've been hearing a lot about Chinese links to hacking in the United States. So far, many of the reports have been about the theft of trade secrets. But according to one US-based media, a series of hacking attacks on US natural gas pipeline companies could spell trouble for the country's natural resources infrastructure.
China has been linked to almost 24 hacking attacks that leaves U.S. natural gas pipelines open to sabotage. The Christian Science Monitor cites a recent classified report by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The report said between December 2011 and June 2012, 23 U.S. natural gas pipeline companies received emails with malicious links or attachments. If someone clicked or opened these, hackers would be able to get into the company's networks. William Rush, a retired scientist from the Gas Technology Institute, told the Christian Science Monitor that these cyber attacks have the potential for disaster. Rush said, quote, "Anyone can blow up a gas pipeline with dynamite, but with this stolen information, if one wanted to blow up not 1, but 1,000 compressor stations, I could." The classified report, titled Active Cyber Campaigns Against the U.S. Energy Sector, does not specifically mention China. But the Christian Science Monitor says independent researchers have found that the digital signatures belong to a group recently linked to the Chinese military. U.S. security firm Mandiant reported last month that a unit of the People's Liberation Army has stolen millions of emails and terabytes of private data belonging to U.S. companies. The Chinese regime has denied the accusations and says it was the victim of cyber attacks from the U.S.
China has overtaken the U.S. as the world's top oil importer, at least for the month of December. China's rise in oil imports coincides with the lowest U.S. intake since 1992, according to figures from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. In the last month of 2012, the U.S. imported 5.98 million barrels of crude and refined oil products each day. China's reached 6.12 million barrels per day. The drop in the U.S. is partly because oil companies traditionally cut their purchase at the end of the year for tax purposes. The United States will still maintain its position as top oil importer annually, but the gap between the U.S. and China has been consistently narrowing. Some analysts believe that China will eventually become the world's largest oil importer as early as this year or next year. A 5.5 magnitude earthquake in China's southwestern Yunnan province has injured at least 30 people on Sunday. 3 of the injured are reportedly in serious condition. According to state media, the quake destroyed almost 1,800 homes and damaged more than 83,000 others. State media also reports that 21,000 people have been evacuated. The quake has disrupted transportation, electricity, water, and communication systems. The earthquake struck about 32 miles from Dali City at a depth of 20 miles below the surface. Xinhua News Agency said over 30 aftershocks have been reported. New York-based Shenyun Performing Arts has made its way to Europe as part of its 2013 World Tour. As Shenyun put on a show displaying China's 5,000 years of culture, the technical skills and artistry impressed audience members.
Shenyun's Saturday night performance at the Stadthalle in Vienna was their last in Austria during the 2013 European tour. This retired professional ballet dancer praised the performance, saying it was technically flawless. They were technically perfect. The jumps and all the flips were brilliant. Shenyun dancers' combination of technical skill and heartfelt expressiveness appealed to this theater actress.
They are at a very high level in terms of body control, but not only in terms of acrobatics, but also in terms of dancing, and they do it with heart. You can feel that every single movement is danced with a lot of feeling, and that is wonderful, really wonderful.
This violinist says the quality of the orchestra was top-notch and praised the extraordinary nature of the entire project.
I was extremely happy to come and to see this absolutely extraordinary project. It was a great idea, and that makes people, it refreshes their minds, and it brings an open eyes on a new picture of China for all of us.
It's very interesting. It's a very nice concept, and it has dancing and music and performing and soloists. So it's a very nice combination of all these arts and culture from China. So it's very interesting.
I was absolutely amazed by the great quality of orchestra. Being a violinist myself, of course, I automatically pay a lot of attention to that. The perfection of strings and winds together, and great music and arrangements. I was really excited to listen to that tonight.
Shenyun Performing Arts will now head to London for a series of 6 performances at the Barbican Theatre, March 5th to the 9th.
And that's all we have time for in this NTD China news. But you can see more of our China-related topics on our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel NTD on China. Coming up next is China Focus, where Shelley Zhang speaks with Jason Ma and Chen Zhifei about the 2 sessions of the Chinese regime. Stay tuned.